Okay. All right. So, Scott Fortunoff, president of Jaftex. I have so many questions, but my first one is I just want to hear the history of the company. I love the idea of this family business that has gone through generations. Tell me how it started. And I
Okay.
hope you're going to say like a Shmatte cart on the Lower East Side.
That is exactly what I'm going to say. So you stole my thunder. So the JAF in Jaftex is Jacob A. Fortunoff. He
Uh-huh.
was my great grandfather. I'm the fourth generation along with my brother. And yes, he was scouring the streets of New York with his cart, and seconds is really what he was selling back in the day.
Uh-huh.
And things have transformed since then. A big step we had was we were in the lingerie and sleepwear business. I always like to say that I had the greatest pajamas growing up as a kid. Uh, Almost tuxedo and suit like. They were really
Uh,
nice. And then at some point in the 80s, 90s, my dad either had the foresight or the fortuitousness, if that's a word, to get into the over-the-counter business, which is what we call our business now. I don't know if you refer to it as that, as buying the
what does
fabric.
that mean? Does that mean you have a
No, just
business?
buying the fabric over the counter.
Oh,
You go
okay.
to the store, you
You
got,
buy
say,
the, yeah,
a yard of white fabric, they bring it up to the counter, they cut it.
yeah.
That's what we call it. I don't, not a lot of people call that. That could be an old school name. But in any case, in the 80s, 90s, my dad either was lucky or had the foresight to get away from the lingerie and sleepwear business, and
Uh-huh.
we bought some companies in the over-the-counter market. So that was good because, in fact, most, if not almost all of that lingerie and sleepwear business went overseas.
Interesting. Of course, because it's manufacturing of
Is that a
the actual
fly? I
clothes.
think there's a
I think so.
fly. Yeah. I was like, is that on my screen?
No,
Anyway,
I think I
sorry.
just Obama'd that. I did. I just got
So the
that in
one thing
a
I just wanted to
snack.
mention that's interesting is aside from Jaftex, which really is more of a holding company, all of the companies that we have were purchased over the years. None of them were created by someone with the last name Fortunoff.
So your
So
dad, that started with your father. He would buy these different
he
fabric
bought some
companies.
companies and then we bought companies together and then yeah, we went from there and as more family members were in, we made different acquisitions along the way and are always looking to make more.
So
That's
tell me about Free Spirit specifically, because that's a fabric I'm using for the two quilts that I'm making for from
yep.
your guys' fabric, and it's also the sort of locus of an incredible amount of quilter obsession. Um,
Yeah.
it's like it was when I walked into a quilt shop for the first time, I sort of stopped and I looked at the wall and I was like, "What the fuck is this? These are insane," and like
So
they creep up on you.
so in 2018, Free Spirit, they were owned by a public company,
Uh-huh.
Coates and Clark, and they were not getting the return they wanted. They were like their sales were pretty steady, a little bit up and down, but they just couldn't get it going. And they sent out an email to the industry that they were ready to close doors. So I actually remember this pretty vividly. My dad was walking down the hall and he says, "Oh, I'm gonna give them a call." Made a few calls, and then it happened to be I think this was February break. Me and my family, my wife and kids, we went away. And while I was away, my dad and brother were all up in Charlotte and getting the deal done. I was ended up being on a lot of calls, and when I got home, it was more or less a done deal. And I would say of all the deals we've done that I've been a part of, that one is a total life changer.
Yeah,
Uh,
tell me why.
it just put us, it just really put us on the map in a big way. I mean, Kay Fassett, Tula Pink, Tim Holtz, big names and just influential people in the industry. Before that, our top brand was Henry Glass, and it just really elevated the whole business for us, and put us out there and made us, one of the leaders for sure.
Oh, absolutely. So do you have any when you start like when you guys shift you made the shift from lingerie and sleepwear, now you're doing fabric, you're doing textiles. Did at the time was there this kind of craft obsession? Were people mostly making clothes? Did you have any idea that quilting was going to blow up like this?
I never really gave it much thought like that. I think earlier on in my career, there was more clothing going on because the fabric was less expensive, and now in
Mhm.
some cases it's cheaper to just buy the clothing.
Yeah.
With
I mean, that's what
Walmart,
we always say, like, why spend $40 on a quilt at Walmart when you can spend $400 and 85 hours making it yourself?
it depends. It just depends on the person, really. But to be honest, I didn't really think of that. I just always thought of it as we're selling fabric, and I have a couple manufacturing customers left over, but our main business is really selling fabric for quilting, whether it's to the mom and pop quilt shops or to the chain stores. We also have a division that sells to the chain stores.
Oh, yeah.
That's Fabric Editions, so they sell, Walmart, Michaels, and
Is there
all
a
those.
difference in quality between those lines?
Typically our well, we call them quilt shop only because like Studio E, Freespirit, Henry Glass, Blank, we will not sell them to Walmart or any of the chains. Those are typically Korea printed, South Korea, which is one of the premier places to print, as well as Japan. We're not really doing a lot in Japan, a little. And then we do some of our quilt lines that are digitally printed, we do in Pakistan. For the
Mhm.
chains, they're buying the volume, they're doing India, Pakistan, or China, just where it's, more, less expensive labor, a little bit lesser quality. So to answer your question, the qualities are different.
Yeah.
The construction of the fabric is the same, but the general quality of the printing and where you get it done does make a difference.
And what happens in terms of quality control? Do you guys do that yourself, or does that happen on site out in Korea or India or wherever it
Well,
is?
for the most part, all of our fabrics are brought in, cut up into, 10 or 15-yard bolts. So
Hmm.
it's really on them to inspect. We're not bringing the bolts in and then re-inspecting it. So we really count on them. Rarely they have a problem. And of course, we understand a lot of people are touching our fabric before it gets into someone's hand at the store level or consumer. So if there's a problem, they reach out, they send us a sample, and either we credit them or find them a better piece. Listen, I've heard it all, I've seen it all. But
Well,
overall,
what do you mean? Come on, details.
well, someone will call, it's fabric's moldy, it's got dirt on it, it's got a hole in it. It just
Yeah.
happens. It's not
Hmm.
perfect. Someone, down on the lower level is just, rushing through their job to make wages, and
Hmm.
they miss a couple things, or they're just trying to be faster, and it happens. But we stand behind it, and obviously it hasn't put us out of business. There are not that many errors. I mean, obviously, if we had that, we'd have bigger problems, and we'd have to argue with our suppliers and all that. But everyone stands behind it, and they get it, and stuff happens. It's just fabric. No one's
Hmm.
died, fortunately. It has a hole. They might die inside, but not in reality, due to
Do
that.
you feel like, I mean, so is that, do you have an attachment to the actual thing? Like for you in this family business, could you be making widgets? Is there something about textiles that you're like, oh, I'm glad we're making fabric and not, I don't know, nuts and bolts?
It could be anything.
Yeah, like you're not going
This
home
is
and
what it
making
is.
quilts in your spare time.
No, I dabbled a little, but that's not really my jam.
Yeah.
My son was doing it for a little bit, which was kind of cool. But
How old's
I'm
your
not.
son?
I have two sons. One is 11th grade, 17, and ninth grade,
Mhm.
14. So
It's
the younger
funny, my
ones
there's a
doing it.
lot of, you see a lot of guys who are doing this textile stuff now. My daughter is in a relationship with like a super macho dude. He's a lineman for Amtrak. Like he's, he won a Red Wing competition, so he has Red Wings for life. He's like a working guy, and he's started sewing. And it's
Oh,
so funny that, like, okay, it's so
I mean,
great to
listen,
see.
we always talk about all the benefits, it's relaxation, it's thoughtful, it's using your brain, it's math,
Uh,
science if you want it to be, creativity, left brain, right brain.
mhm.
And it's soothing. And listen, there's no better reward than finishing a project. That's very rewarding.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I
So,
think that's what I'm in it for too. I love the process, and then I don't keep my quilts by and large. I give them all away. And
hmm
uh I don't even, you want to hear like a secret? I didn't even like quilts when I started. Like I didn't my daughter is like a big tech, she works at a textile museum and library. I'm just like, I don't like, I never owned a quilt. I never bought a quilt. It was but the obsession began and it hasn't stopped. So what
That's good.
are there some like challenges? I mean, you work with your family all day. Sometimes my husband and I worked on couple
Just
of
me and my
TV shows
brother
together.
now. Just
So
me and
what's
my
that
brother.
like? What's it like working with your brother? Who's the boss, first of all?
That's a good question. Well, so first off, I went to University of Michigan, then I went to law school, then I went into trading stocks with my brother. So
Uh-huh.
we have worked together in the past. I've been in the business longer. He actually went
Uh-huh.
in after college for a little while. And my parents are young relative to, like I was 35 when I had my first kid. My dad, I think, was 22 or 23.
Uh-huh.
So when my brother came in at 20 something, my dad was 40 something. My brother wasn't coming in to take over. And I think
Right.
he always loved the stock market. So he did that. And then he came in after I did, after,
Did you ever think you were going to? I mean, you went to law school. I went to law school.
yes,
I was a lawyer for like 5 years before I moved into
I
writing.
didn't,
But like,
I didn't go, I didn't do anything after law school. I just passed the bar and that was the
uh-huh.
end of it. Uh, it just was, so then I went trading and then one day I was just really stressed and the job was killing me and I just didn't like it as much. And my dad was like, why don't you come in the business? But when I was in college, senior year, I did call my parents. I was like, hey, I think I'm ready to make a decision, ready to come in the business. Great. Decision made. Next morning, my mom's calling. She's like, you could always go in the business. Why don't you do law? So I did the law school thing, and
Well, I
I
mean,
always like,
Jewish mother, right? My daughter's going
yeah,
to law school. She's starting law school next year. I've never been so happy in my life.
I
I
always
didn't know
like,
I cared. It turns out I cared.
I always like to refer back to the Robert Frost poem, "The Road Less Traveled," because I went on the road less traveled away from the business, but I ended up back on the road with the
Yeah.
business anyway.
What about
So
your boys? Do you think they're gonna?
Well, so I just want to go back to answer your other
Okay.
question, which was my brother and I work together really well.
Yeah.
He's operations, he does the finances, the
Uh-huh.
warehouses, the orders, the customers, as far as paying for orders, and I
Right.
do more social media marketing, the
Uh-huh.
lines, the designing, sales reps, really. So we really work well together. Who's the boss? I don't know who. I'm the president by title, but I would say we work together well, and it's not like he's the boss. We do it together, and if there are any major decisions, we'll do it together. But I'm the boss. Don't tell him I said that. So boys, actually, Aaron, who's my older son, this summer is going to work with me. He's going to come to the office just to get exposure.
Mhm.
We, of course, like many other families, would like to see him do something else first. He could always come into the business. The problem with that is Greg and I are in our 50s, and we don't have that luxury that my dad was so much younger, and we were
Right.
so much younger too. So I'd love to see them start coming in. My brother has a junior and a freshman in Tulane.
Uh-huh.
So, and we'll see what happens. I don't know. I'm not there yet, but I'd like them to be sooner or later if they are going to come. But Aaron's going to work with me. I work Monday, Tuesday, Thursday in the city. I come in from Connecticut. Everyone else works Wednesday as well. But it's really a very brutal commute, an hour and
Yeah, and
40
I
minutes
used to do that from Jersey into the city.
each way.
It's hellacious.
So so that part is rough. But so he's going to come in with me. He's also going to work at a local quilt shop,
Oh, that's
volunteering
great. I was gonna ask you if you're gonna like make him go and do some of the
once a
hands-on
week,
stuff.
and
That's so
then
good.
Fridays and Saturdays he'll enjoy his weekend doing golf or whatever, and starting to do college applications.
That's great. That's wonderful. So,
Um, and
you're
they are
creating the next
interested.
generation.
It's too early. Who knows? Like the world could change so many times. Maybe they'll start some other business or do something with AI. I really don't have a clue.
I mean, it
Um,
does seem like, there are not a lot of jobs nowadays that you can safely say, oh, AI is not going to be able to do my job, but it feels like running this business is not something that AI is going to be able to do.
we talk
Like you
about
actually
that.
have to look at the fabric and, decide
Yeah,
whether it's
we talk about that a lot. There are a lot of businesses that have gotten AI'd, and all of a sudden one day you're out of a job, which is pretty
yeah.
rough. So I don't think that's happening. The world could change a lot. It's changing very quickly. So I hope it doesn't happen. We are invested for the long haul, and we're going to keep going. So it was just 95 years we celebrated this year.
Amazing.
Yep.
Well, I'm conscious of your time, so that is the perfect amount. I'm so grateful to you. This is
Okay.
super fun. I will see all of your stuff in the quilt shops all the time. And
Okay. Thank you. I
it's
appreciate
a
it.
thrill. Thank you,
And if
Scott.
you want to do it again, let me know.
All right. Okay.
All right.
I'll send
Have a
you the
good day.
video to check out.
All right. You got it. Have a good day.
Bye.